Namaste. My name is Neelima. Welcome to Reflections Along the Way podcast, where you will be listening to reflections from learnings and experiences along my life's journey. The scriptures tell us that our real nature is that pure knowledge and pure bliss. But because of our sense of this ego, we feel limited and we are ego bound, and we are living in this misunderstanding that we are these limited beings. Now, all of us, whether we realize it or not, we are all going towards the goal of self-realization. Gradually, these experiences that we are having, the suffering that we experience with the material objects is wearing us down, and sometime it's going to make us sit up and realize the foolish delusion that we've all been living in, which is leading us to suffer so much. Now, all religions of the world ask us to just wake up and realize this truth, pursue this path of realizing the true nature, and to not stop until we've reached there. Vedanta is that subjective science which shows us how to reach this goal of realizing our own nature. In India, this science was passed on as an oral lesson from master to master over the generations. The saints and sages of India were very inquisitive, and they were very hungry to find out the secrets of this life and how we are to realize our true nature. And the reflections of these masters and saints became the scriptures that we see today. Now, this knowledge of our true nature, the knowledge of Brahman, is called Brahmavidya. And this wisdom of those ancient sages was communicated to disciples orally in those days. And since these teachings passed from one teacher to a student, and then that student became a teacher to his own students, and so on, this lineage is called as Guru-shishya Parampara. In those days, it was purely transmitted orally, and each verse was composed by the Guru, and it was transferred directly to the disciple's mind, who would remember it and then pass on to his own disciples later on, and so on the lineage would go on. Some thousands of years before Christ, a great sage named Vyasa, Vedavyasa, he compiled the entire scriptural wealth into 4 books called Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. Now, these Vedas are not like written by one person as such. They were inspired declarations by many rishis who transcended from the idea of I and mine. That's why they don't even have like an author's name on those holy texts. Of all the different sets of scriptures or shastras, the Vedas are considered the most ancient. All others originate from them. The word Veda itself is derived from the word Vid. Vid means to know. So thus Veda means knowledge of the truth. These Vedas contain the knowledge of the truth. Now, there are 4 Vedas that I listed out previously. Each of these Vedas also has 4 sections. They are mantras, brahmanas, aranyakas, and Upanishads. Mantras are chants adoring or describing the beauty of nature. Brahmanas tell elaborately the description of various rituals that are to be performed. And aranyakas are descriptions of various methods of subjective worship, which are also called upasanas. Upanishads are where the highest philosophical truths are declared. Now, the Upanishads are the concluding portion of the Vedas. The total content of all the Upanishads is what is called as Vedanta. Now, Veda, as we've seen before, is the knowledge of the truth. Anta means the end. So, Vedanta basically means the end portion of the Vedas. Or it could also mean like the end of the knowledge, the goal of Vedas, basically. The goal of the entire Vedas is to imbibe this knowledge and wisdom about the eternal truth, which is the most profound knowledge. Now, these end portions of the Vedas, also called Vedanta, the body of knowledge called Vedanta, that rationally, scientifically explains the supreme reality and the means to attain self-realization. Now, the Upanishads are also called Shruti. Shruti means that which is heard. Again, it underscores the oral tradition in those days, where it is heard from the guru, from the teacher, from the spiritual teacher by the student. It is important that these are learned only from listening to a guru because of the layers and layers of depth in each mantra. Now, besides the Shruti, the scriptural literature of India also has Smritis, Itihasas, and Puranas. The Smritis are basically meant to be guidance for people's daily lives. So, Smritis have codes of conduct, like how to live life ethically, morally, and they have domestic laws that need to be followed, the ceremonies that need to be followed, etc. Itihasas are histories like Mahabharata, Ramayana, that give interesting stories to illustrate the teachings of Hinduism and the principles of Vedanta. Puranas, a set of 18 books, they're also compiled by Vyasa. They dramatize the truths of the Upanishads, the truths that are declared in the Upanishads in the form of stories. The Upanishads remain core to the Indian spiritual heritage. The word Upanishad has a lot of meaning. Upanishad can be broken into 3 parts. Upa, Ni, Shad. Upa means near. Ni means with firm determination approach. And Shad means sit. So basically what the word indicates is that Vedanta is a knowledge that should be learned from the teacher, sitting near the feet of the master in an attitude of surrender and yet with firm determination. If we read the scriptures like an encyclopedia or like some novel or something, we will not grasp the true import or true meaning of those mantras. So then the Vedantic knowledge, whatever we are reading, it'll be like only knowledge only. It won't be an experience really. So whoever is a student of a Upanishad, through a process of living, it's not just about getting that knowledge. It's not just about intellectually understanding the knowledge. A true student of Vedanta experiences firsthand that the self within him is the supreme reality everywhere. And with that experience, all the limitations that bind him are broken free. So there's no more any bondage. Originally, Vedanta is known to be passed on orally. As we know it today, we can say that Vedanta is derived from 3 textbook categories called Prasthanatraya. In total, 108 Upanishads have been preserved. And out of these 108, 10 are considered to be the most important ones, are the principal ones. Aitreya, Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya, Ishavasya, Katha, Kena, Mandukya, Mundaka, Prashna, and Taittiriya. The other textbook in this Prasthanatraya category is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is an 18-chapter poem that Vyasa has written expounding this Vedantic knowledge in the setting of a battlefield where Sri Krishna reveals these teachings of Vedanta to the Prince Arjuna. It is the central and the most popular portion of this great epic called Mahabharata. Right now, where we are fighting all these battles in our head, how do we imbibe that knowledge and apply that practically in our day-to-day lives is shown very clearly through Bhagavad Gita. The Brahma Sutras is the other text. Brahma Sutras is also known as Vedanta Sutras. This text has a series of aphorisms. Again, this is attributed to Vyasa. These also interpret the Upanishadic teachings. There are some great declarations of the supreme truth, which is like the central message of Vedanta. And these are called Mahavakyas. They are direct revelations of the truth. There are 4 popular best-known Mahavakyas, and each of them are taken from one of the 4 Vedas I mentioned before. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. Prajnanam Brahma is from Aitareya Upanishad in Rig Veda. It means consciousness is Brahman. Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art, is from Chandogya Upanishad in Samaveda. I am Atma Brahma. This self, this Atman is Brahman. This is declared in Mandukya Upanishad in Atharva Veda. Aham Brahma Asmi. I am Brahman. This is declared in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in Yajurveda. Prajnanam Brahma means consciousness is Brahman. It declares that consciousness which enlivens every individual and which provides this sentience to inert matter layers is the same supreme reality which is a substratum of the entire universe. It's the same consciousness which enlivens the entire universe. In other words, what it declares is one and the same consciousness acts as the common substratum for both the macrocosm and the microcosm, for the entire universe and also for each and every being. Now, just to kind of illustrate this concept, if we think about electricity, now electricity functioning in a bulb, in a small bulb in our living room, is the same as the electricity that functions in all the electric bulbs, all the fans, all the radios, and all the TVs, and every piece of electrical equipment anywhere in the world, right? Consciousness is like electricity. It's one homogeneous power that has many manifestations. The second Mahavakya is Tattvam Asi, that thou art. Amongst the 4 Mahavakyas, this is probably the best known. This declares that infinite, all-pervading truth is your own essential nature. So Tat means that. That means that supreme Brahman. Tvam means thou, you, in your essential nature. Asi means are. The 2 here are Brahman and Atman, are identical. The third Mahavakya is I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. And I am means this. This means this self-effulgent consciousness within, which is enclosed by 5 matter layers or sheaths. This self, the innermost core of the personality, is the very same Brahman that enlivens the entire universe. Now, this statement is like a formula for the seeker to reflect on, to gradually discover the identity between the self and the supreme reality. The 4th Mahavakya is Aham Brahma Asmi. I am Brahman. This declares that the conscious principle in ourselves is nothing but the Brahman, the total consciousness. Aham means I. I refers to the pure self within. not the perceiver, feeler, thinker, not the body, mind, intellect. This I is the same as the all-pervading Brahman. Now, this last one may be seen as the seeker's own experience of transcending the ego, experiencing himself to be nothing other than the Brahman, and realizing the Supreme Self. Thank you for listening to today's reflections. If you'd like to connect with me, please visit bluishmuse.com. Until next time, Namaste.